Freddie Freeman III. Freddie Freeman III.
We are going to talk about Freddie's start with the Braves, where it all began. We're going to talk about his career with the team, how it led to the World Series. We're going to talk about his departure from the Braves and the fallout from that. We're going to talk about why that necessitates a conversation around how we have conversations about players. And then we're going to talk about some sad things. Enjoy the show.
Is into center field, the first hit for Freddie Freeman.
Freeman began his career with the Atlanta Braves in September of 2010. He was called up to be a part of an emerging and weird playoff contending Atlanta Braves. As the years go by, the playoff disappointments rise, and the team undergoes a reconstruction. He was the lone player who stayed with the team, and as a result, endeared himself to the loyal fan base. He trudged along, being a pillar of consistency for an otherwise unwatchable team. Until, as the team got better, Freddie found himself in the middle of a Cinderella season. He homers in the World Series and catches the final out of the 2021 season. It was so perfect. How could anything go wrong?
Everything was beautiful. Nothing happened.
Start somewhere, with hopes, dreams, memories. If we're lucky, some of them are remembered. We can only assume that Freddie remembers being drafted in the 102nd round of the 2007 amateur draft by the Atlanta Braves. And in the minors, he mashed. Look at these stats. What about these ones? Do you like those? Guess what, buddy? Boom, more stats. You know, the funny thing is that nobody really liked him at first. In 2007, Freddie isn't on any top prospect lists. And then again in 2008, he's nowhere to be found on any lists. And then in 2009, he's 87th on Baseball America and 38th at MLB.com. In 2010, Freddie is 32nd on Baseball America and 0th at MLB.com. and 36th at Fangraphs. And in 2010, Freddie was overshadowed by the number one prospect in baseball, who also happened to be on the Atlanta Braves, Jason Heyward.
Hey, hello, hello, they know, hello, hello, they know, hello, hello, they know, hello,
Heyward debuted in Atlanta with tons of fanfare, and let me tell you, it was exciting. We are always going to hold the memory of that opening day home run from Jason Heyward. Look, rookies who come up and make an immediate impact and are fast, hit home runs, bring Gold Glove defense to the field, they're superstars. And Heyward got all of the attention in 2010, and rightfully so. But guys like Chipper Jones were quick to say, yeah, Heyward's awesome, but you guys are sleeping on someone. This was a weird time. These Braves teams did not feel like they were great at all, but they were somehow winning baseball games and making the playoffs. Now, not really getting far in those playoffs thanks to certain events that we're never going to talk about. And plotting through this era was Freddie, who was beginning to blossom. And this era lasted, 3 years? Epic collapse in September of 2014 led to the firing of general manager Frank Wren. This was a difficult time for fans. They had begun to win for the first time since the end of the 90s and kept getting met with September collapses and cursed calls, so the notion of a fire sale, especially in the light of the Astros doing the same, kind of felt like the right move. So everyone was traded. Andrelton Simmons, Jason Heyward, Craig Kimbrell, Alex Wood, Justin Upton. By the end of 2015, it seemed like everything was stripped to the studs, and folks were wondering if Freddie would be next. Losing became a regular meal for the Braves, and they invited their fans to eat with them. This was the dark ages. So it's a perfect time to talk about how Freddie was perhaps the lone source of joy on these teams. And let me be the first to tell you, Freddie Freeman is a good baseball player.
Swinging a fly ball. That's hit it to the corner. That ball off the brick wall. Well played by Duvall, and Freddie's not running this time. He does not run, and this one is driven into right. Good five. Freddie Freeman goes deep.
And if I recover, will you be my comfort? Or it can be over.
few prospects were called up, and by a few I mean all of them, essentially. This time with Braves fandom was good, but also full of the Los Angeles Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. It's like around every corner there they were. But one year, things were different.
The Astros left-hander Framber Valdez, and it'll be Jorge Soler leading things off for the Atlanta Braves. He is the DH. Here's one slammed into left field. How about that start to the World Series? Soler will take the trip. Is just trying to fight to stay in the game. This one is a rocket into left and gone. 5-0 Atlanta here in the third inning as Duvall goes deep. And the Braves lead 3-0 here in the third.
That was awesome. The taste of this glory heals all sorts of wounds for fans. This was amazing. It was fantastic. Now, let's lock up our first baseman. Oh, well, this certainly puts some uncertainty in the air. No matter. I'm sure that by spring training, all is going to go well. There's no way he's going to sign anywhere else. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Shit. Not there. Oh. How is this happening? I can't believe it. How did this happen? How in the hell did this happen? We basically have Mr. Atlanta Brave here signaling he only wants to play in Atlanta. How did the Braves and Freeman screw this up? What were the factors? The lockout, for one. During the lockout, no communication was to take place between management and labor, so the players were basically cut off from checking in, and so were the teams. This creates a huge gap of time where there was radio silence. Then there's bad communication when they were allowed to talk. It was reported that there were ultimatums that shouldn't have happened, and that Freddie's team stonewalled the Braves a little bit. Alex Anthopoulos was mum about the whole thing. Then there's this whole aspect. He misread the market. They were looking for a 6-year contract, and apparently the Braves only offered 5 years. Now, teams these days are wary about contracts to 30-year-old corner infielders. They don't tend to age well. And Freeman is an elite talent, so maybe they were trying to push that? Or maybe Freeman's camp thought the Braves would eventually cave because they wanted their guy. Maybe they thought they'd use the Yankees, the Dodgers, or yes, even Tampa Bay as leverage, but when the leverage didn't show up, the Braves knew that they could afford to stand pat, and they misjudged how the Braves would respond.
Now I'm going to stop the animation right here. I'm going to look you in the eye, and I'm going to tell you that we need to have a conversation about players and their contracts. And we're going to be talking about it from 2 points of view, both of which I think are important. First point of view, the analytical point of view. I think it's important to understand how teams operate. It's important to understand how teams make personnel decisions. Why are they signing the players that they sign? I think there is a space for a conversation around how are teams allocating the resources that they have to acquire the players that they want so that they can win in the long term, and that there's a certain strategy that goes along with that. I understand that. I have a master's in business analytics. I know why someone might be interested in something like that. This type of conversation in and of itself is not wrong. It's not bad, okay? The problem I have with it is that we tend to turn these players into assets. You might hear people talk about players as assets. Players are not stocks. They're not bonds. They're not cryptocurrencies. They're not baseball cards. These are real people, and to talk about them in an inhuman way so consistently feels really gross to me. And if you look at a team like the Astros that might make decisions that are upsetting, or a team like the A's that are making moves from a pure cost-cutting perspective, it feels kind of gross. This whole conversation has a place, especially for those who seriously analyze or professionally analyze and critique Major League Baseball front office decisions. There's a place for that. The second point of view is the one that I lean towards, and it's that I don't think, as a fan, you should be concerned about player contracts. At least not the dollar figure. Here's why. I'll start with a question. Do you work for a Major League Baseball front office? No, you don't. So why do you care so much about how much someone's getting paid? You might say, well, it's because of what you said in the first point that you made, that I want to understand and analyze how a team is making decisions, and they've only got so many resources, so I want to make sure that they spend those resources in a way that helps them win the most, right? I understand that. Here is the flaw in that argument. That amount of resources that you're saying the team has, that is artificially constrained. What do I mean by that? I mean that whatever they're saying is the most that they can spend on a roster, it's way larger than that. And I can already hear some of you saying, salary cap. There is no salary cap in baseball. Teams are free to spend as much as they want on players. Now, you might be thinking of the luxury tax, which is in effect a soft cap. Luxury tax, for those of you who don't know, there is a maximum that is being set by Major League Baseball for teams to spend, and any dollar spent over that, the team has to pay a tax to the league. So it costs more and more after you go over a certain threshold. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret about front offices. They don't really care about the luxury tax. You know who does care? The billionaire owners. Owners hate that sunk cost of the luxury tax. So they're gonna do all that they can to stay under it. And some owners don't even care about the luxury tax. They just want to keep payrolls as low as possible. Why low as possible? So that they can make the most money. Look, I know we live in a capitalist society. I know that that's kind of the name of the game. Baseball is a business after all. Here's the thing though. As a fan, as a consumer of this game, I do not care the profitability of the ownership. Last year, the league reported $12 billion in revenue. The Kansas City Royals, a small market team, was sold for over $1 billion. The Atlanta Braves in 2021 had profits of over $100 million. That's with having the payroll that they had. I'm telling you, the fan should be concerned about competitiveness, not efficiency. Owners can do more to put a competitive product on the field. They're just choosing not to because they know that you're going to keep watching. You know who gets this the most, actually, are Mets fans now. Are they complaining about how much money this billionaire is spending? Absolutely not. Who cares? So all of you guys out there who are like sweating over how much your team has overpaid for a middle reliever, or that they overextended a fan favorite because they think they're getting paid too much for what they put out on the field. You guys are sweating over an owner's balance sheet. Knockout! All of this to say that talking about player contracts leads to a siding with the owners versus the product that we like to watch. We like to watch players. Demand that your team gets better players. Don't demand that they're more efficient with their dollars. Who gives a shit about how efficient they are with their dollars? I want a competitive team, and you should too. That's all. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, the worst day of my life.
I think that Freddie's camp didn't think the Braves would trade for anyone. During the whole time, Alex Anthopoulos was likely building a plan B in case negotiations didn't play out. Time simply ran out. Freeman signed with the Dodgers less than a week later for almost the exact contract the Braves offered. By the way, Braves fans should be happy to have Matt Olson. Have you watched him before? Did you just say no? All right, time for a segment, and you might want to turn up your volume. didn't really care for what Freddie did in the clubhouse. Personally, he said that he and Freddie didn't click. He said that he wasn't really friends with Freddie and that Freddie upheld the rules of the clubhouse that he felt like it targeted him. He was implying that Freddie would play a role in tamping down Ronald's personality, not making Ronald's appearance too loud. Ronald was honest with his feelings, says he doesn't harbor any ill will, but also said he wasn't close with Freddie and that he had his reasons. Freddie wanted to uphold a culture that he felt like he was responsible for. Nothing about it was too harmful. Just, he fostered a conservative clubhouse culture. That culture that the Braves were trying to impress upon Ronald, that's left over from the Turner 90s era Braves, who had a dress code, had to wear khakis everywhere. One could say that this type of culture was a bit oppressive, maybe stuffy, didn't allow for unique personalities, that it encouraged a sort of ubiquitousness. Alright, I'll say it. It's white. They're saying act like a white person. And guys, is there anything wrong with being white? No, dude. Go be white. Wear khakis. Eat unseasoned chicken. It's fine. Where it's a problem is when you're trying to press this into a 19-year-old Venezuelan kid who barely speaks English and implying to him that it's the default way to be a baseball player. Freddie thought he was helping, and it turns out Ronald didn't think so.
Man, opening day was so strange without him. Seeing him in Dodger Blue, it was surreal. The fallout of this was just so strange. Fan reactions, man. I just didn't understand it. And fans turned on him hard, saying he wasn't that good anyway, or that he didn't care, or was money hungry, or that he hated Atlanta or hated Braves players. All of this was just not true, but that didn't stop them from tweeting it. And Freddie's reaction was also, I'm going to say healthy, but unusual for a baseball player. It was so apparent that Freddie was bothered by the situation. He didn't feel like he had closure, and man did it show. He was crying during his press conference. Crying. And we don't shame an emotional king. Lord knows more men need to feel the safety to be vulnerable like this. It's just, it's so unique to see a player do this. At the end of this year, the Braves lost to the Phillies. Dodgers lost to the Padres. So maybe it evened out a little bit. That's the video. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed it. It took a long time to make. And No, that's not the end. Did you really think this was the end? No way, baby. It's time to get sad.
Reflect with me on loss. Is there someone close to you who's passed away? A family member? Or a friend? Or maybe you've lost a relationship. Perhaps you've lost a dream, what could have been.
Grief is a strange thing. It's a universal thing. All of us are going to deal with it at some point in our lives. Kind of like the body's way of healing a mental wound. Some will tell you that there are stages to grief, that there's a way that grief kind of rolls itself out over time. And it's not exactly linear. Sometimes you can skip over the steps, sometimes you can go backwards. It can have these weird effects on you. You might think you're progressing, and then you do something that completely surprises you. When I looked at Freddie, and then I looked at the fans, I could see a similarity because both of them were grieving. Freddie, of course, was obvious. He was grieving the loss of the future that he had, the relationship with those fans. And the fans, they lost one of their favorites. They lost that connection. For some, the way that they coped was getting angry and saying awful things and trying to process it over social media. They said some terrible things, felt some terrible things. So I've been told in counseling that grief is love. Gosh, is that so true? If you didn't love someone or something or love an idea, you wouldn't grieve. You wouldn't get angry. You wouldn't be sad unless you loved. I'm going through grief counseling, and I have been for, over 5 years. And there are certain types of grief that just never leave. Get used to it a little bit. I want you to validate those feelings of sadness, of grief, while we're talking about the grieving of a player leaving a baseball team. Reflect on any loss or grief that you might have. Think about those that you love and who are no longer with us, and hold them dear. So anyway, Freddie meant a lot to me. He meant a lot to a lot of people, and he's still here. He's just not going to be a lifelong Brave, and that's okay. You know, there are more important things to worry about. But I think it's okay to take some time and try and validate the feeling of sadness you get from watching this silly sport. That is the end. No big outro this week, guys. I am planning a change in the way I do videos in the future. I hope that you enjoy it. I'm trying to get those out quicker this year. So be on the lookout and have a nice day.